Hey, everybody, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Brian. And on this edition, what we want to do is talk about the value of inspecting and cleaning today. Tyler, we're starting to see a lot more of people going into some of the higher data rates. So they're moving from the 100 meg to the 1G to 10G, and now you're starting to see some guys getting into 40G and 100G. So as you start passing more data through your connectors and through your network, why do you need to care more about inspection and cleaning?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see this. We've been, even though we've been talking about inspection and cleaning for years, you had certain folks in, let's say, an enterprise application or maybe an aerospace application who have said, "Hey, I've been able to get away with dirty connectors or just cleaning it on my shirt or whatever, and not even checking, and everything has worked fine for me up until now." But we're reaching this point where no matter what the market segment is right now, everybody's moving beyond a gig into 10 gig, and these are the speeds in which dirty connections actually have a significant impact. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, you look at like the TIA standard, for example, even though they call out 0.75 dB of loss in the connection, all of the design engineers are calling out more stringent requirements than that now. Mm-hmm. And if you're actually proactively inspecting and cleaning your connectors, you should be able to easily exceed those acceptance criteria. But if you're not doing that, you're totally flying blind. You're leaving yourself exposed, and the introduction of contamination onto the end face of the fiber now could make you easily miss that.
Right.
So 1 gig, 10 gig, and beyond, I'm sorry, but you can't afford not to inspect anymore.
Or think of it like this, from a sensitivity standpoint, as the transceivers and receivers are becoming more sensitive, if you have, let's say, like a scratch on the ferrule end face, right, and it's causing some kind of back reflectance back, it's causing some signal scatter to come back in, right? Yeah. So that's another reason why it's very important. Inspection and the cleaning process is going to be even more critical, right?
Yeah, I was just talking to a couple of industry colleagues this past week from multiple connectivity and test manufacturers, and this is a big deal. Back reflection is something we've had the capability to check for a long time, but now more than ever, this is becoming an important factor. And the last thing that you want to do is send that high-powered signal back and damage the source that you're sending the signal from.
Yeah, exactly. And as the components become more sensitive, the other thing too, also, if you're doing a lot of stuff, let's say in single mode where you have to worry about your power budget. So for example, if I'm an MSO and I'm starting to add more and more subscribers further and further out, I need to be even more critical, right, of making sure that inspection and cleaning, right?
Yeah,
because it becomes a lot more critical. I can't afford any of that dB loss, right?
I almost have to laugh because you and I have been doing this for so long that, we start to realize that this is something that's not going away. It's like the surgeon washing their hands before performing surgery. Inspection and cleaning is clearly here to stay. The higher the bandwidths are, the more important it is than ever. And now I start thinking of things like MPO connectivity, mm-hmm. And even the way that those ferrules are designed and such. It's almost like they're more easily contaminated than even other connectors. And so, those are the architectures that are being designed right now for 40 gig and such are relying heavily on MPO connectivity. Mm-hmm. And so more important than ever to make sure that you're keeping those end faces clean.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times too, as we start getting into higher data rates, sometimes we don't always pull the cables, right? We can just go through and pull a card out in the router or the switch or whatever. And so again, it's mission critical as you start thinking about all the interconnects between point A to point B.
Yep.
It becomes a lot more sensitive.
Any connection that's out there, we love connections. We love the ability to have flexibility to do moves, adds, and changes and such. But also that connection point is a point of vulnerability for contamination. So again, if you're dealing with fiber, you're dealing with a risk of contaminated end faces. So which is why you got to inspect, clean, inspect.
Yeah, and even though it may cost a little bit more to get a good quality product, in the end, it's going to end up saving you a lot of money because you're not going to have the reworks and the callbacks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
Love to hear from you guys about a time that those of you guys who are proactively doing this, love to hear a story. Tell us about a time where proactive inspection has really saved you guys. Until next time, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Brian. Thanks for watching.